Hi there, welcome back to JD Answers. Today I have the Miofive Hardwire kit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you step by step on how to install this hardwire kit into your vehicle. One of the first things we have to do is figure out which fuse tabs do we need. I took a fuse out of my vehicle and what we need is the micro fuse, and that's the one we're going to use. And if we compare them, it's going to be these are going to be the fuse tabs that I need. So the fuse tab comes with 3 wires. A black wire, which is the ground. You have a red wire. This one's the accessory wire. The yellow wire is your battery wire, which is your constant fuse. And this one says CC+. This one, the accessory, says ACC. The ACC goes to your switch circuit. When your car turns off, the fuse turns off. On this one, that is a VCC. This will be connected to your constant fuse, which when the car is on or off, this will always have the power. The hardwire kit came with some fuses, and they're purple or some might be yellow. For my vehicle, I need the small micro, and this is purple. And what we're going to do is we're going to get our fuse tabs. Now there's 2 openings, and then there's a fuse slot itself. The back slot is where we put the fuse that came with the hardwire kit. The fuse you took off will be on the inside, close to the fuse terminals here. I got the fuse tab. Gonna center it in there and just push down on there. There it goes. Just needs a real good push on there. I'm gonna repeat the process for the red one. Put it inside and push down, and it's inserted. So I got the hardwire kit here, and I got one of the red wires, and I got the red fuse tab, and you can see there's 2 terminals on there. The hardwire kit itself has the male part, and the fuse tab has a female, and all you do is just push them together. That's it. There's a protective covering that you just push right on top of there, and you put them together. And that one is done. Just repeat the process for the second one. I got the fuse tabs installed on each wire. All we got to do now is install it into the vehicle. I'm at my fuse box and I need to figure out which fuse I could use, because there's 2 types of fuses, a constant fuse and a switch fuse. So now let's figure out which fuse is which. So I'm going to get my circuit tester, which is one of these, and it has a light. So every time there's power, the light will come on. And all you do is you ground it to any screw that's inside, preferably the one that's attached to the fuse box. And there's one right here, and that's the one I'm going to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch one side of the fuse, because there's 2 sides of the fuses in there. And let me show you an example of that. You have this 20 amp fuse, and there's a terminal here and here. You only need to touch one side. So next, what we got to do is look at our diagram of our fuses. And it's usually right behind the cover that you take off of your fuse box. If I look at the fuses, the first 2 in the top left are spares, a 15 amp and a 10 amp. The 10 amp I already used. And then you have any open slots. Any open slots if they have terminals to plug in one of your fuses. But let's see what we've got to stay away from. Let's stay away from anything with the ignition, anything with an airbag, or anything to start the car. Now what we can use is the 20 amp power socket, the room lamp, blower motor, the heated mirror, audio/mirror, and FR power socket. So there's 2 power sockets in this car, so I could use either one. So let's get an example of a constant fuse. I'm going to start with this left side here. And I'm going to just test one side, and the light turns on. I'm going to do it again. And the light is turning on. But we have a spare here. So let's go ahead and touch one side, and you see that side turns on, and then the opposite side does not turn on. Only one side turns on, because that's the way the fuses are, only one side. So we know we could use these as a constant fuse. All right, here we have two empty spots. So let's go ahead and test all these here. This one has no power, so there's no light going to it. Nothing on the bottom. Will we touch the top? Nothing, nothing, nope, nope, nope. So all these we could use as a switch fuse, which means they only turn on when the car is on. But let's test that. Let's turn on the car. Okay, the car is on. You hear some beeps in the background. So now I'm going to retest all the ones we just tested to see if the light turns on. That light turned on. That one's on. Nothing here, but we go to the top, it turns on. Nothing here, top goes on. So we got two spares that we could use. We got a 20 amp, works, and a 10 amp. But let's try this spare again. Oh, that one turns on, but you notice the bottom turns on and the top doesn't. Where on this one, the top turns on, the bottom doesn't. So there's two different sides of this. On this one on top, it was the bottom. So I got two choices that I could use. I could use a spare for a constant fuse. The car is on. And for this one, I could use this one here as the switch fuse, because this one's only on when the car is on. You see how that's on? Now let's turn off the car. And the light turned off. I'm going to use one of these spares here, one of these two spares, and I'm going to use a 10 amp. And the reason I'm going to use a 10 amp is to show you what happens when you have to take out a fuse, because when I put the spare, I don't need to add a fuse. The next step is to figure out which side has power. Now we figured the spares on the switch circuit we know was the top, and for this one was the bottom. You see how the constant? But we're going to take out this one here, which is the room lamp. So let's take that one out and see which side has the power. Okay, here we go. Bottom has power, top doesn't. So we know this is the one we need, and the bottom has power. Now the reason for that, when you're installing your hardwire kit, the power comes from the wire and it goes to the outside. That side has the power, this one has the load. So we took the fuse off the top left, which is our constant power. So that means we got to use the VCC wire, which is this wire. So that's where we need to put our fuse that we took out onto this slot, that open slot. So let's go ahead and do that. There it is, we got it in. The purple one powers the dash cam only. The 10 amp powers the devices that the fuse came out in. And for this one was the room lamp. So this one powers the room lamp, this one powers the dash cam. Now for the 10 amp, the power was on the bottom. So that means we need to install this one upside down, because the power is on this side and the fuse was on the bottom. So let's go ahead and install that. All right, that's installed. Now let's install the other one. Since we're using a spare fuse, we did not take out a fuse from the fuse box. So you don't have to add one in there, because it's not going to power anything else on, just the dash cam. Now the power that was inside the fuse was on the top. And again, the power comes from the bottom and to the outside of the fuse. So let's put that one together. All right, there it is. Next is the ground. And we're going to use the same bolt we used to secure the circuit tester, because that grounded the circuit tester. So I'm going to loosen that one up. I'm going to put the ground behind the bolt.
Hi, Miofive is here for you. Start recording.
Now, I'm not sure if you heard that, but the dash cam came on automatically. I still need to tighten it up, but since it got grounded, it was able to power on. All right, just got to tighten it next and we're done. All right, one thing I want to mention is this module here. It has two switch levers on the side. This is where you set the voltage. In order to set it, you simply move those switch levers up and down to get to the desired voltage. You could set it to 11.4, 11.5, 11.8, and 12 volts. And right now it's set to 11.4 volts. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it on that. This is your preference on what you want to set it. Next, you want to get all your slack wire, and we're simply just going to tuck it behind this carpet area. And then you get your wire and you route it behind the kick plate right here. And you can move some of this trim back and forth to what you need. And don't worry, it's not going to be in the way of the hood latch. Just so long as the wire is behind there, you're fine. So everything's going to be good on this side right here. Okay, next I'm going to continue routing the wire between the frame and the dashboard. And I'm going all the way up to the top of the dashboard. Now let me show you how that looks. Okay, here you could see the cord that is between the frame and the dashboard here, and it's going to the top. But let me take it out again just to show you how that looks. There you go. You see the wire coming out and it's just simply going back in. That's all you're doing is tucking it in between the frame and the dashboard. And all you got to do next is go ahead and simply start tucking in the weather strip back. There you go. All right, fix everything in the bottom and we'll continue on the top. The next step I'm going to do is go ahead and take off the weather strip to this A pillar. And we're going to take that down. Then we're going to get the wire, and I'm going to go ahead and just pinch it in right here. What this does is it holds the wire for me so I could put it between the frame and the A pillar. There it goes. It's inside. So all I got to do now is just simply put the weather strip back. All that part is done. We just got to make our way to the dash cam. All right, so what we're going to do next is go ahead and put in the cord. I'm going to put that down. Going to get the cord and just push it inside there. All right, that's done. Next we're going to do is just go ahead and put the wire straight up. We're going to go straight up with the wire. And between the window shield and the headliner, there's an 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch space in there. And you're simply just going to tuck in the wire. All right, so from this point, I'm going to go ahead and just continue routing the wire inside. Because what this does is it's going to actually hold it for me. I'm actually going to take some of this weather strip out. You see how that gets loose? That way I could push the wire more inside there. And just go up. You see how I just push my finger like that and it goes to here. Then, again, between the window shield and the headliner, there's a 1/4 of an inch to an 1/8 of an inch space in there. You see how I pull that down? And that's all you got to do is to get to the camera itself. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it. And then I'll put the cable inside because all this slack is going to go right in there. So we ran the wire this way and we have it over here. So all you see is the slack that we were talking about. So all I got to do is simply continue tucking it underneath the headliner. All right, it's all in there. The cord is all hidden. So let's go ahead and power this on. Now let me show you how to set your parking mode. There's two types you could get into. There's parking guard sensitivity and there's also time lapse. But let's get into parking guard sensitivity. And you could set this to low, medium, or high. It's basically your preference. This is the sensitivity. The G sensor will be activated. So now let's get into time lapse. When you select time lapse, you could select 24 hours, 16 hours, 8 hours, or 4 hours. This is pretty much your preference. Time lapse record under 1 frames per second, And when you review your video, it's going to look like it's going on fast forward. Time-lapse saves you recording space on your micro SD card. So if you want to use it for work, well, you set it on 8 hours. If you're in a parking garage overnight, well, then you want to set this on 24 hours. Parking sensitivity will only show a video if there was an impact. Time-lapse will start recording when you turn off your vehicle and when you get back in your vehicle and you turn it on. Now, if you're staying overnight in a parking garage and you only set it for 8 hours, well, it's going to record 8 hours and then stop. So that's why you got to select it to the desired amount. Next, let me show you a time-lapse video, and then I'm going to slow it down so you can see some details in the video, and you could do this to your video. So even though it's on time-lapse, you're not going to miss anything and you're not going to miss any details. Alright, what do you think about that hardwire kit? If you're interested in the product, I'll put links in the description down below. If this video was helpful for you, please like this video because it really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, select all notifications for all upcoming videos for dash cams and hardwire kits. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe!